if I saw another day, only to scream into the night. Nothing ever tries to change, even if I want to realize. 'Cause I've been sitting here, same old ways, taking off without the same mistake. Darling, when you go away, it won't be as simple for you.
Yo guys, Old Man G here, RDS here, back again for another Manchester United late transfer update show. Unfortunately, Tom is not with me this time. We cannot rely on the reliable transfer Tom today. He's busy actually with the family, but he'll be back during the weekend. So I'm going to have to rely on the other GOAT journalist, or one of the other GOAT journalists in Fabrizio Romano, to really sort of go through what has been quite a busy day for Manchester United. But before we get into it, remember, guys, if you're on YouTube channel, to like, share, and subscribe. To Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, United X, and smash the notification button. Plays Manchester United news. Get involved in the chat. Get involved in the comments. Poll us up and everything like that. Shout out to Big Matthew in the chat. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Appreciate it, man. And we love Sonic. Awesome to see you, buddy. Awesome to see you. So, yeah. This is basically going to be, obviously, we're just going to recap and kind of inform you guys on what the latest transfer news around Manchester United is at present. And obviously, the big news, as you can see in the Fabrizio Romano post, is regarding Harry Maguire. About probably the beginning of today, earlier today, Fabrizio, Ornstein, a lot of the big journalists, obviously, the status has been, as you can see, West Ham reaching an agreement in principle with Manchester United for Harry Maguire for a 30 million fee. A verbal agreement is subject to final key points on deal structure, which is still under discussion, but the fee now agreed as per Sky. Personal terms to be discussed soon. And Ornstein and the like, I think, have added to that in saying that basically, I think that you know, the fact that Harry Maguire probably was not going to be getting a lot of game time at Manchester United this season, and the fact that would obviously impact his time at his England chances, I think, was obviously a big factor regarding him basically leaving, essentially. So this is significant, and I'm not one of the Manchester fans going celebrate good times. Harry Maguire's gone. I want to be, and I try and be less reactionary when I do my takes on this channel. But the reality is that Harry Maguire was not good enough for Manchester United. Yes, he wanted to fight for his spot, but the reality is that as far as Ten Hag was concerned, he was probably fifth choice centre back. He wasn't going to get the game time, and the fact that the captaincy was taken away from him somewhat publicly, I just think that his position was untenable, and for the sake of his own professional career, professional development, he had to move. I actually don't think he's a bad defender. I just think that in the system that Manchester United want to play, he just doesn't work. That's what I believe. He just doesn't work in the system that we need to play. It just doesn't work. And obviously, we're going to talk about other centre-back options that are going to be available for Manchester United. Kicking the poll. So I have an agenda against one of the guys who we're linked with. But yeah, 30 million. The other thing is 30 million. Is 30 million enough? Is 30 million enough for Harry Maguire? I would have liked maybe 40 million. The reality is probably that would be pushing it. If we could get 30 million majority cash, I think that's probably at the end of the day, we overpaid for Harry Maguire. We shouldn't have spent 80 million pounds and given it to left. 50 million, okay, fine. 80 million for Harry Maguire was was ridiculous. Was absolutely ridiculous. And on top of, you know, Jadon Sancho and the like, you know, has really made me question kind of the English tax situation at Manchester United. I don't want us spending, you know, Mason Mount, you know, again, although it was 65 million, I'm just like, you know, English tax. He wasn't worth 80 million even then. And the fact we paid for it was absolutely ridiculous when we were linked to Ruben Diaz, who's at Manchester City, who, as for all intents and purposes, is a solid centre back. You know, there were other cheaper options available, and for whatever reason, we decided to go. It is what it is. I'm just looking at some comments. Pavard would be a good option at right back, but not sure he has tenacity to play centre back. Yes, we're going to talk about the other centre back options again as well. It's a beautiful day in the neighbourhood, says Atonement. Yeah. Matthew says, I hope Maguire goes just for the sake of his career and also not getting abused himself. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I don't think any person should get abused at all. At the end of it, it's just football. But, you know, it doesn't make... A lot of it is also about mentality as well, you know, because at the end of the day, I think as a professional footballer, like, you know, I'm old enough to remember likes of Phil Neville, Nicky Butt, etc. When they knew their time was up and they needed game time, they went and they got moves to, you know, Everton, you know, Newcastle, I think, respectively, because they weren't good enough anymore for Manchester United, and they went up to other clubs, you know, to get games. That's just what happens. So if the coach deems you not good enough, if you know, I'm sure Harry Maguire has a strong mentality, you know. So, but with the way that football is played, the way the team is playing, he can't think that he's going to put himself, given that he's been at this club for, you know, 3 seasons now, he can't put himself ahead of Varane. He can't put himself ahead of Lisandro. Even Luke Shaw at centre back, for example, was a Luke Shaw at centre back was almost a revelation this season. You know, if Luke Shaw hadn't been playing at centre back, you could think maybe Harry Maguire might get some, given the fact that Lisandro and Varane were both injured. And you're thinking maybe, but he used him on top of Lindelof, who obviously, you know, because we're not talking about Lindelof is staying, and Lindelof came in and did the job, you know. So yeah, for his sake, I think it's good. I think this is a good deal for everyone, and I think in a very, very more defensive team that like West Ham, I think this is a good deal. I watched Tapsoba in the last AFCON tournament. He was unreal, the best in the tournament by a long distance. Interesting, and I'll obviously talk about it later. I don't really know that much about Tadibo, because Tapsoba he plays for Bayer Leverkusen. I know. Tadibo is the one that plays for Nice, and obviously Pavard plays for, I think is that sort of Bayern Munich. And we all know what happens when Bayer Leverkusen face Bayern. If you don't know, Bayer Leverkusen often beat them. I haven't watched much of Tadibo and Nice, to be honest. I haven't. Lucky Singh, let Harry Maguire go, please. Tom, yeah, unfortunately, Tom isn't on the show today. Hopefully he'll be back on the weekend, but he's just busy with family. He does have to take a break sometimes. But yeah, he will be back at some point. Yep, all the best to Maguire, says Showcat. Thomas says the turning point had to have been when he got booed in Ireland. I still don't understand that to this day. I don't get why was he booed in Ireland? Like, he was booed in America, he was booed in Ireland. I don't get it. Like, why? Because he wouldn't be booed at Old Trafford. He wouldn't be booed at Old Trafford. So why was he booed in Ireland? I don't get it. And it was a friendly. I don't get it. I don't get booing. I don't get booing in games that don't really matter. I don't really get that. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, I think the guy needs to leave. It's too toxic. It's too toxic. Maguire will excel at West Ham, especially if they're quite defensive. Yes, no, I agree. I agree. You know, so, you know, I think overall, this is a good thing for Manchester. This is a good thing for Manchester United. This is a good thing for West Ham. This is a good thing for Harry Maguire. And I just think that at the end of the day, why wasn't this done sooner? Is what I'd say. You know, so why wasn't this done sooner? And of course, this frees Manchester United up to potentially sign to eventually sign another centre back, and which we're obviously going to go to. But let me know what we think, guys. So do you think that Harry Maguire will be a success outside of Manchester United? Have we handled it badly? I don't know. Personally, I feel that the way that I feel that look at what Ten Hag is doing at Manchester United. I'll say two things. The first thing I'll say is this: is that one, I don't know whether it's because Manchester United, whether it's because of the sale, or because Manchester United give him control, but clearly Ten Hag has more control at Manchester United. I'd even argue players like Mourinho and even Van Gaal did, because at the end of the day, you had Ronaldo, Maguire, Pogba, all these guys, all these dons who were big personalities, and literally in the space of about a season, 2 seasons, gone. CR7 disruptive, gone. Pogba, obviously before Ten Hag came, but gone. Maguire, not interested, gone. De Gea, not good enough, legend, gone, etc. So Ten Hag is really building his team for his sake and his philosophy. But what I would say, though, is that because of that, that means that increasingly, if things go wrong or things go really bad, there are less and less people to blame. And the reality is that a lot of those players that I said, the Pogbas, the Cristianos, the Maguires, the scapegoats that people put on teams, they weren't playing 7-0 against Anfield. They weren't there. They weren't playing. So, if we're beginning to see the team that Ten Hag wants, we need to also see the results that Ten Hag expects, is what I would say, So because as bad as Harry Maguire is, I don't think Harry Maguire he was a scapegoat for a lot of things last season. Harry Maguire barely played at centre back, but yet, he played at the beginning, but yet he still bore the brunt of a lot of issues in Manchester United last season that weren't actually tied to him. Notably, the fact that we couldn't score goals, So, in summary, what I'm saying is that, I wish Harry Maguire all the best. Hopefully, this will be here we go soon, and that hopefully, that Harry Maguire can, start a new chapter in his career, and that this will be good for England, because at the end of the day, you forget, it is Euros next year, and I'm thinking really and truly, aside from, I think, obviously John Stones, I'm trying to think of England centre backs that will play alongside him that are even good enough. Who? I know we slate Maguire, but but who's third or even fourth? Tyrone Mings. I don't rate Tyrone Mings really. It's okay, but he's not world class. Okay, the AC Milan guy Tonali, but even then, he's okay. He's all right. Like I said, he's not amazing. Who else do you have? Will Keane. Yeah, there aren't that many options. Ben White, Tomori. Ben White, but even again as a centre back, I don't know. Let's read some comments before we move on. Liam says Pavard next to fellow Frenchman would be, yeah. But again, does he have the versatility to be a centre back? I'm not sure. And to be honest, I have a Pavard agenda, because I think this guy is massively overrated and always gets dominated by not even some stronger position. I think the game that actually, I'll talk about it later. I'll talk about when we get against that section once I finish reading your comments, because I have an agenda against that guy even before he went to Bayern Munich. I don't rate him personally. Harry Maguire had a gesture to David Moyes. Showcut Khan says, I don't blame Maguire. I blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for buying some ordinary overpriced players apart from Bruno. Yeah, I don't disagree. The reality is that people forget City actually wanted to get Harry Maguire. People forget this. City actually wanted to get Harry Maguire, and they were prepared to spend, I think, 60 million. I remember this. City wanted to get Harry Maguire. Mourinho actually wanted to get him. People forget at the beginning, because he was doing well. Mourinho, I think, wanted him before he got sacked. And then Ollie obviously then got him. City wanted him. But the issue is City were like, we're not going to spend more than 60 million. And United were like, oh yeah, we can spend. And there was this idea of, oh, we've beaten City for Harry Maguire because they're prepared to spend 80 million. So we do need to put that into context. You know, it wasn't at the time that Harry Maguire was seen as some average defender. It was like, this is a potential up-and-coming defender who could, you know, in an environment where there was a dearth of quality defenders, you know. Are we getting Amrabat? There's not been much Amrabat news as of yet, and I think that's tied. This channel has really been talking more about show about outgoings, because I think that Amrabat coming into Manchester United is going to be tied, Sagon, to seeing Fred and Van der Beek leaving. And we're going to talk about some of that later as well. Mark Gay. Oh, so these are examples of England defenders. Fair enough. Chelsea signing Lavia and Casillas. I don't think that's confirmed. Maybe they might, but I'm not sure. Southgate could call up Smalling with some more winning. I don't know if I don't think he'd call up Smalling. I don't think he'd call up Smalling. Right now, obviously, as you can guys see in the poll, and I'll quickly get Fabrizio's tweet up. Just give me 2 seconds. Let's have a look. Pavard, Todibo, or Tapsoba. Actually, I've forgotten to put Tapsoba's name here. Who actually I rate. Now, if I'm honest, you know, I only really know about Pavard. Like I said, Tapsoba, who plays for, as I said, for Bayern Munich, Todibo for Nice. I'm honest, I've not watched Tadibo play. Occasionally, I have watched Bayer Leverkusen games, and I've seen him play, and he does play for, I think it's Burkina Faso, I think, Tapsoba. And I would agree with, I think it was Math in the chat, that I actually, if I had to pick one, I would prefer Tapsoba over the other three, personally for me. Although Todibo is the youngest out of the three. I'm going to quickly go to Fabrizio's. I don't just see what. Sorry, guys, I didn't have the. There we go. Right. So that was also part of it. So Manchester United, hope everyone can see that. Yes. Manchester United have 3 options in the list for new centre-back. Benjamin Pavard, Clair Todibo, and Edmond Tapsoba are being considered as possible names to replace Maguire. Talks really took place with Todibo, as revealed here. Pavard keen on the move. So I take it from that that Todibo is first choice. Todibo, I think, is first choice. Oh, sorry, yeah. I've just seen the man. I've just gone to chat. Yeah, Chelsea's admitted form bid to. Wow, Romeo Lavia worth 48 million. Ooh, Liverpool fans are not going to be happy with that one at all. If Liverpool don't get Lavia, then yeah, interesting. Very, very, very interesting. If Liverpool don't get Lavia, yeah, that'd be very, very interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, so what I take from this tweet essentially is that I think an understanding would be that Todibo is Ten Hag's first choice, and then I would then suspect that it'll be between Pavard or Tapsoba. If I'd have to rank it, I'd say Todibo, Pavard, and Tapsoba. Like I said, I don't think, for me personally, I mean, if you want to give my personal opinion, like I said, I would prefer a Tapsoba. Pavard, I don't think has the versatility to play as a centre-back. I don't really see him. He's better than Maguire, okay, sure, but like, is that the level? Are you better than Maguire or not? You know what I mean? We need to do better than that. And I think the thing that stands out to me, because like I said, I told you I have a Pavard agenda, and I still remember that game when he played for France. So I watched him a lot for France. when they played against Hungary, and he got dominated by, I forgot the name of the striker, so maybe someone chat can remind me. He was 37, 30 years old, Hungarian striker, dominated him to get the equalizer for France in the group stages. And that was when I knew that. And that was the time when they got knocked out by, I think, Switzerland, I think it was. Awful. It's like, how have you been outrun by a 38-year-old Hungarian who plays this sort? It was just, I know it's football, but still, you know, so, and even at Bayern Munich, I don't know. Even as a fullback, like defensively, he's not better than Wan-Bissaka. Probably okay, yeah, going forward, okay, yeah, definitely agree. I think he's better than Dalot. I think he's better than Wan-Bissaka. But defensively, I can't trust this dude. You know, so if you told me you were gonna let Dalot go, or if you told me that you know, you were considering other, essentially what I'm saying is that, like, if you're gonna bring Pavard in, you're bringing Pavard in as a rotation of players, potentially as a fourth choice, because he's not going in over Varane, he's not going in over Lisandro, and I'd even make an argument that he's probably not going in over Lindelof, though he can play better right back than Lindelof. You know, so, you know, do you want someone like Pavard? Would even Pavard, I don't know, because he's playing at Bayern, would he be happy to be a bench player, a rotation player? Because this is, for me, he unless he like he doesn't break. He's a bench player, he doesn't break, and you know, unless you see him as kind of like a replacement for Wan-Bissaka, like, okay, the whole kind of, I think he's better going forward than all of them. That's it. You want to go press a team that's gonna be difficult to break down, etc. Fine. Pavard, awesome. Put him at right back, no problems. Agree with that 100%. But you're playing against City. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, I don't have a lot of. I'll be honest. Like, I don't have a lot of information on Todibo because I just don't watch Nice French League. Obviously, I know that our Sir Jim Ratcliffe owns Nice, and you know, I guess there'll be conspiracy theories as to, you know, if we do sign Todibo, does that mean that Sir Jim like in the chat, like guys, like if we sign Todibo, that means that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is buying the club. But if we sign Tapsoba, it means that Qatar buying the club. You know, maybe something like that. I don't know. But we need to see what happens. Let's have a look. I'll just read some comments. Showcat again. After selling all Deadwood, I hope United buy Kudos, Amrabat, Todibo, and Pavard. I don't think we'll buy. Last I checked, Kudos I think is going to Brighton. That's the last I checked. Sorry, I've only got one. I've only got I've broken my right hand, guys. So just bear with me if I'm a little bit slow. Yeah, last time I checked, I think Kudos was linked to Brighton, and I suspect that will be accelerated if Chelsea get Caicedo, which they may or may not do. But as one of the people in the chat rightly said, it looks like Southampton potentially might accept this bid from Chelsea for Lavia. So that is something that's there. And if that's the case, well, who knows? What I do know, is that this is going to be the only signing. We know for a fact that United want to sign another centre back out of the three. They want to sign a midfielder, and we know that Amrabat isn't the only midfielder on the list, but he is first choice. And potentially United will want to sign a lone striker because, quite frankly, Anthony Martial, even though he's in training, is just not going to be fit enough. We need at least 3 strikers. If Martial could give us some input during the season, that's fine, but we can't rely on him. Hojlund, just a bright mind update to Hojlund. I'll just forget briefs. We're not really talk about Hojlund, but I mean, for those who are watching, and for those that don't know, I am a doctor, I'm a medic, so I have a bit more insight. And I don't know, I was always thinking about doing a medical or Manchester United injury show where I could kind of like educate people on the nature of injuries and how long people expect to be out, etc. And I don't know how popular that would be, but let me know. But just regarding to it, from actually looking at what they said, it's not something, the way that people say it's not something that's going to keep him out for a long time. It sounds like it's the early stages of a possible sort of stress fracture MRI, and the fact that it was caught on MRI first shows that this is something that is really, really early. So it's not seen on X-rays or radiographs, which means that it's not established. So because of that, I think the Manchester United team, his team, were like, listen, even though you're not in pain, even though it's not established yet, it's probably a good idea for you to just rest, and just which usually with early stress fractures, rest for about 2 or so weeks, don't do any activity, and then you can proceed. So I think the whole talk about he's going to be out for months or weeks or weeks and just stuff like that was malarkey, so it just wasn't true, so I just thought I would just clarify that for those who wanted a minor injury update on Hojlund. Hopefully that clarifies things from, like I said, a medical perspective anyway. Atonement, Amrabat news dropped off when Mainu got injured. That's interesting. Yeah, that's true. Mohammed Sultan says, wish you the best in I assume in current life. Hope God willing nothing happens to that. I assume you be current. So, defense errors by Amsterdam Della convincing Hag to buy Havard. Like I said, Pavard is not someone who from what I've seen of Pavard is not someone who you bring in to improve you defensively. But not from what I've seen. Attacking wise, sure, he's better than those two. Defensively, though, I from what I've seen of Bayern and for France, not a chance. And even before he was at Bayern, not a chance. Not a chance. This guy will get dominated in the Premier League by better wingers. Like, he will get dominated if he plays on the right wing anyway. He will get dominated. Like, people take for granted what Wan-Bissaka does against some of the paciest, fastest wingers in the league. He will get dominated by wingers if Pavard plays on that right back. Centre back, he have a bit more protection. I'll see, but I don't know if he has that versatility. But on the right wing, I'd be very, I would. I'm not sure. From what I've seen, like I said, and like I said, the biggest game thing that stands out to me was when France played Hungary in that group stage game. And I remember he was playing right back, and it was him and Varane playing actually, and it was like, this shouldn't happen, And they kept on going down the right hand side as well, like it was painful. But there are other examples as well that I'm not going to. Shout out to Lucky Singh. I'm pretty confident he'll move to. Talking about Fred, I think Fred. Yeah, Fred. I think obviously on the subject of outgoings, Fred obviously, where Fred, it could be Turkey. I think news around Fred is we're still kind of waiting for where Fred is. I do have an opposite update on another player that we'll speak about in a second, because news came out about that particular player. I think in the last hour or so, which I'll touch upon after this. Let me know what you think in the chat. Like, obviously, vote in the poll, but which centre back do you think should be a new centre back for Manchester United? Obviously, you've got to bear in mind as well, guys, that obviously versatility is important, but also, is this player also happy? Because you don't want to create a disruptive dressing room. So you've got to think, is this player happy to be a rotational player? Because if it's Pavard, I don't know whether Pavard's happy to be a rotational player initially anyway, because he's not going to immediately displace Wan-Bissaka or Dalot if he's going to play right back. And he's definitely not going to displace the centre backs. So is he happy? We'll see. Pavard was even linked to Liverpool, so I think at a time he was, yeah. Manny says we really missed out on Timber this one. That we did. But he's gone to Arsenal. What can you do? I'll get the move to Fulham for Fred. What loan strikes are available? Don't want another Weghorst. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I think that United definitely want to get another striker in. And I think that if we are going to go for a loan as a striker, it's probably going to be, I don't know. I don't know. Is there anyone in Ligue 1? So I mean, there's that. Would a player like Füllkrug, that's one guy I can think of in Germany who was balling. Füllkrug, would he ball? I would imagine if we're going to get a lone striker, it's not going to be a youngster. So because I think the whole point is that Ten Hag wanted a senior striker and a younger striker. So we're going to get it's going to be a senior guy. So I'm just trying to think of senior strikers that can kind of be almost like mentors, stuff like that for a way. Because the way things are going, Harry Kane looks like he's staying at Spurs. Now Bayern may put a massive bid, and I think they will because they have to, because Levy is Levy. But if Harry Kane somehow stays at Spurs, he's coming to Manchester United. I think that's clear. But yeah, I don't know what senior striker on loan one that I can think that would be an asset Manchester United that could still play, the bench. Maybe let me know in the chat. Are there examples across Europe? I'm just struggling, because all the ones that I know are either washed or playing in the MLS or the Saudi League. I can't really think of others off the top of my head. What else? Lucky wants Tadibo, I think. The only thing I would say is that I would definitely, if we can manage, I would sign Ivan Toney in January. Although he's not been playing before, he's not fit, so I guess that's the only thing. Gregory, Chris Wood, Manny, not on for a striker. Chris Wood. People are hating, but that is the type of player. A Chris Wood, a Chris Wood. That is the type of player. That is the type of player. That is the type of player that Manchester United could get. Your kind of Peter Crouch type sort of players. It's possible. It is possible. It is possible. But yeah, like I said, let me know in the chat, guys. Who do you want to come at Manchester United? I don't have a deep analysis on these players because, like I said, frankly, guys, I've not watched Clair Todibo or Tapsoba. I know I've watched Pavard, but Tapsoba only briefly, So I'd be foolish to say which player do I think Manchester United should get. If I had to pick one, I would probably say Tapsoba over the other two, personally for me. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Right, let's quickly move on to talk about another player who's just brought in. Now, I'm going to quickly see if I can get. My computer's slow, but is what it is. Now, let me see if I can scroll because I'm using Fabrizio, not Tom today. So, and this obviously ties into the whole, us getting a new midfielder. Are we going to get a new midfielder? Is it Amrabat? Blah, 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 blah. A lot of that, again, as I'm saying, is tied towards Manchester United actually being able to offload players. So if Manchester United can get rid of Fred, can get rid of Van der Beek, I don't think McTominay's in. I suspect McTominay is going to stay. I think, West Ham obviously offered 60 million for both McTominay and McTominay and Maguire. Sorry, why have I named back there? Yeah, they offered for but United rejected it. But obviously, the discussions with Maguire. Manchester United, I think, want at least 45 million for McTominay. And actually, McTominay would be decent at West Ham, to be honest. I suspect they want at least 45 million for McTominay. With the fact that West Ham signed James Ward-Prowse, the Alvarez kid, I'm not sure whether they'll still go in for McTominay, but still a possibility. But we know for a fact that Fred is leaving, and that Van der Beek wants to leave as well. And obviously, as Fabrizio posted about 2 hours ago, Real Sociedad and Manchester United are still negotiating for Van der Beek. Discussion ongoing about loan fee, how to go to inside, and also option to buy a clause in 2024. Now, obviously, for those who don't know, one of the biggest hurdles of shipping out Manchester United players has been, their wages. We pay our players incredibly high wages, and then when we want to get rid of them, it's difficult to get rid of them because someone has to pay their wages. They've become accustomed to a style of living, and most clubs can't afford to pay the wages that Manchester United pay their wages. That's the fact, and that's the nature of being a team that with the revenue streams that United have. So obviously, Fabrizio ends with saying, understand Van der Beek's keen on the move and attracted by Real Sociedad project. So Van der Beek, I think, it's a tragic case of Manchester United of spending money on players that don't necessarily fit. I don't really know. Sorry. It's a bit late here. I don't really know why the Van der Beek thing didn't work. We saw him ball for Ajax, who's doing really well, and he's been under 3 different managers now, and that includes his old manager in Ten Hag. And for whatever reason, it just doesn't work. And I think a lot of people were blaming Ollie and saying, "Oh, Ollie, why didn't you play Van der Beek? Oh, why didn't you play Van der Beek?" Ragnick came in, didn't play him. And then Ten Hag has come in, and yes, okay, he's been injured, was injured for a bit. But even when Ten Hag was there, he still didn't. He used him a little bit as a utility player, but he was nowhere near the first team. You're thinking, well, hang on a minute. If the manager that you had isn't using you, why are you leaving? So maybe when he leaves, we'll actually figure out what exactly was it that went wrong. Maybe there was maybe it's like Sanchez, some personal stuff in the background. I don't know. I really don't know. But it's clear that it hasn't worked. Sociedad, I think, if he's interested, I think would be a good project. I think maybe in Spain, so it's, where it could also be just the way the Premier League is, the way Manchester United play. It just doesn't suit his style. And at the end of the day, that's just how the cookie crumbles. So, I think obviously, it says that he's obviously going out on loan, which I think is good for him. It's not great for us because ideally we. I think United obviously want to push this loan with option to it says option to buy, not obligation to buy, which I think is very interesting. So, if United push an option to buy, if he balls or gets injured, if he gets injured or he flops, Sociedad aren't going to buy him, which means that he becomes our problem again the year after. I guess if he balls, he comes to midfield, but I don't know. I just don't see that happening. And also, this doesn't come off our FFP wage bill because, we're still paying his wages and it's still only an option to buy. So it is what it is. I think that was obviously United still looking at this this loan deal. I said I don't think that, at least in this window, that unless other offers coming in, I think it's looking increasingly likely that we're going to sell Van der Beek compared to, say, a Fred, who I think looks like he might, be sold. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, let me know what you think in the chat, guys. What do you think about the status of Van der Beek? Where, was he hard done by? Should we have done anything else? Should he be given more a chance at Manchester United? Like I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, guys. The Van der Beek mystery will always be an enigma for me because I just didn't get how someone who looks so good in a team looked not crap, but just bang average. And we have a lot of bang average players in our squad. So, I didn't get it personally. I didn't get it personally. But like I said, I'll look at your comments and let me know what you guys think. Let's have a look. Atletico Madrid striker. You mean Morata? Morata. Greg's. I'm a Nottingham Forest supporter. I was joking. He used to be good. Well, thank you for tuning in, buddy. Appreciate it. That's lucky. Well, I hope my team can beat you this year. We got thrashed by you last season. Yeah, Nottingham Forest. I hope so. Well, I don't hope that you win, but it was you gave us much needed important points. Let's put it that way. So to confirm top 4, that was important for us. Manny, we should let McTominay go for price for the minute. We have seen him at his peak. Yeah, I mean, you also got to understand that a lot of these players are like, in their late 20s now. These aren't young players that were like, okay, we can potentially wait for potential. Maguire, McTominay, Fred, all these players are not young players. They're older players. And United is turning into a team where at the very least the age profile should come down drastically compared to when we had Matic, Ronaldo, De Gea, etc. That were all 30 plus. So obviously, if you're good, you're good, regardless of what age you are. But still, BDB position 1 football is surplus to requirements. So he's a second striker like Dele Alli. Yeah, somewhat like that. Yeah, I think that there is truth to that. There is truth to that, because the kind of João Felix role, the Dele Alli role, that type of thing, just doesn't seem to be a thing in football anymore. And sometimes I think it's like, is it that those footballers are not talented? I think they are talented, but when you are fixed to a system or style of play and you can't adapt, then it becomes difficult. And someone like João Felix, like I said, it's just like João Felix is getting rejected by Saudi. You know what I mean? The people that say that João Felix will come into and ball, yeah, he might. But I saw enough at Chelsea to think like, okay, this guy can maybe do something for moments. But again, what exactly is his role? He's basically, as you said, essentially a second striker, support striker, which, I guess would be good if you had a consistent striker. I don't know. Maybe at Manchester United it might work, but in modern football, as you said, people don't tend to play that way. But I don't know. It is what it is. Here you want Maguire tomorrow. You really want Maguire out, don't you? Oh, the one he was. Oh yeah, Giles. You want João Felix United? I'm not sure. I think we have enough of those types of players. If you said if you just wanted the Jadon Sancho Giles swap, then okay, I would take that. But I think we've got enough of those types of players without spending money on his, because he's gonna be. Because remember, guys, these players are going to be on high wages. They're going to be on high wages, So yeah, unfortunately, it hasn't worked out with Van der Beek. It is what it is. But hopefully we can get this sort of Sociedad deal done and sorted out. Now I'll just put Van der Beek, to one side. Now obviously other outgoings. Just took that other outgoings. We're obviously still waiting to see what's happening with Fred. I think the latest from Fred, I don't think Fabrizio has not posted an update today about Fred, from what I understand anyway. I'm just checking. Samuel Lucas said anything? I don't think he has. Just a few Maguire stuff. I'm just checking the usual. What has Ornstein said? Has Ornstein said anything? He's not. Sorry. Yeah, Ornstein's not really said anything. And like I said, yeah, that's it really. So no real updates. The other outgoings like Fred, etc. That I would expect. Sorry, my screen's just slowing down a little bit. Okay, we're back. I would expect that as soon as Van der Beek goes, and as soon as Fred goes, and you suspect that either to Fulham or to a Turkish club, possibly a Saudi club, but I think that with Fred, it's probably going to be either Turkish or another Premier League club, i.e. Fulham. I'd anticipate that when those deals are done, then United will get the go-ahead to sign Amrabat. I would like to think that, we can get potentially the Maguire deal done, confirmed for tomorrow, with us potentially announcing a new centre-back signing by the beginning of next week. And then, so essentially it will be, whoever's coming in, new centre-back, they're not going to be coming in before the first match game of the season. That's without a shadow of a doubt. So I hope that our new centre-back, midfielder, and potentially striker, that these players come in before the window closes. I think if we can get those signings done, you have to say it's been a good window. Even though I think the players that we signed, aside from, say, Nana, I would argue I would deem them to be average players. I don't mean that they're not, I don't say that in a bad way, like they're crap, but I mean that, we're not signing players that are well-classed, that are proven definitively, with the exception of Onana. We're signing players that are potentially better than existing players, and it could potentially move us forward with good coaching. That's the type of players that we've signed, in my personal opinion. But we've also fixed a lot of errors and gotten rid of a lot of deadwood. So you'd have to say, based on that, if that happens, it would have been a good transfer window. Hannibal needs to go to some club. Yes, I think there is a case when we talk about outgoings, about our players. How much game time really is Hannibal or Mainu or Ahmad, even Palestri? How much game time are these players going to get? How much game time really are these players going to get? I don't think they're going to get that much. And I think, especially with Ahmad and Mainu injured, I think Mainu will stay, because I think we do need midfielders, and we don't have that many midfielders in Mainu's mold yet. I think Amrabat puts a bit less pressure on that, but if we don't get him, you're going to need Mainu, because if Van der Beek and Fred go and you don't bring in Mainu, then you literally only have Bruno, Mount, to a more number 8s, in my personal opinion, Casemiro, and then McTominay. So that's only 4 midfielders to play in 4 competitions. That's insane. And I would argue that right now that's what the case is, because Fred didn't go on the tour. So Fred is gone. Fred doesn't exist in my... No, I mean, not that he doesn't exist, but I mean, like, he's not part of the squad anymore in my mind, because he's not been part of the tour. It looks like he's going to be signed. So midfield-wise, currently we only have 5 midfielders if you include Van der Beek. And if this loan deal works, you're going to have 4. So you need to sign 1 Amrabat, and then you can promote Mainu, and then that's 6, and that should be enough. But we'll see. The others probably going to need loans. How am I going to West Ham tomorrow? Are you the mage, Lucky? Are you the mage? Manny says, I would rather keep Hannibal in the team than Ericsson. His physical has diminished greatly and has looked like a liability to us. I mean, I don't think that's... Sorry, I even forgot about Ericsson. That's how much you're potentially right, to be honest. Because, yeah, he has been... essentially, ever since his injury, I don't think he's been good. And I think that I've been waiting, like, right, okay, he's going to come good. He's going to come good, because he was good for us. He was very much like, right, okay, creating chances, etc. But he just hasn't recovered from that injury. He hasn't. So I agree with you. There is a part of me that's like, Ericsson, I don't know. But I think it's too early to, in quote, get rid of him yet. But I don't see Ericsson. What I would say is that I don't see Ericsson right now. If we make all midfield signings, I don't see Ericsson as someone who is going to be a regular starter for Manchester United. He'll be a bench player, for my opinion, because you certainly can't play. You're going to have to play Mount and Bruno, and you're going to play Casemiro because Eriksen can't do that role. And you play that against teams that have low blocks. They're going to be dig deep in, be defensive, etc. You're going to play against those guys, the ones you need to press and press high up. Against teams that are going to be more, like City's, Liverpool's are going to come at us. Then for me, that's why you need to bring in Amrabat, and then you can play, Casemiro and Amrabat. You can play Casemiro and Mainu. You can play Casemiro and Eriksen, but the Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno midfield they played last season just didn't work. It just didn't work. Eriksen doesn't have the physicality or the legs. So for me, I just see Eriksen as someone who will be, as a squad player. And that's essentially what I'm saying. He'll be a squad player. Has Maguire left yet? It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. Jarvis, shout out to Jarvis. Jarvis, man, hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Jarvis, remind me? Do you have a YouTube channel, or do you go onto a YouTube channel? I think it might be MUFC Realist. If you do, let me know. It'd be good to collaborate or get involved or something along those lines. But but do let me know. Shout out to S&B. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well, buddy. I'm about ready to go. I don't think we're here going yet, though. Congratulations on the Maguire news. I mean, to be honest, it's like I said, the way I see Maguire is that Maguire, the only thing he'd be taking up was wages, because at the end of the day, the reality was that he could have stayed and fought for his position at Manchester United, but at the end of the day, he was fifth choice centre back. He was. You have Lisandro, Varane, Lindelof, Luke Shaw, and then Maguire. He was fifth choice. So I don't, with a European Championship coming on, and for the sake of professional development, I don't see the rationale, behind it. I don't see it. Tim Genson says, what's the news updates on Fred and Fulham? So regarding Fred and Fulham, what we know, and this is coming more so from Fabrizio, is that we should hopefully get something this week. Last time I checked with Fred, is that it's not just Fulham. There's obviously conversations with clubs in Turkey as well. That's basically where we are, but nothing has been agreed as of yet. But Fulham, I think, is an option. I think this Fulham is an option, and I think it was Besiktas. I think was also an option as well. So Fred does have options, and Fred, I would say 90% is going to leave. He's not been part of the preseason really. So and as soon as obviously Fred and Donny have got the go ahead to leave, then that's it. I actually rate Fred. I personally think I know that Fred technically isn't good enough, but he's been our most, I'm always someone that always says I prefer availability to ability. And by that I mean is that yes, you can complain about someone who's not technically good, but if they give their all and they're always available, then they're an asset to me. One of the reasons why I take issue with players like Neymar and Martial, etc., is that yes, they might be way more talented than they are, but it's useless if you're not available for most of the year. And I think a lot of Manchester United fans that they love Martial, they love all these, Pogba, all these players, and then you're like, okay, yeah, but the injury record was bad. Okay, the injury record was bad. So they weren't available. Yes, I get they're talented. Yes, if they're fit, maybe the same thing. As soon as people see Martial, they'll be like, yeah, Martial is back. He does this. It's like, okay, yeah, but how many games is he going to give that for you? And my thing with Fred is that, at the end of the day, Fred alongside Bruno are our fittest midfielders in terms of No injuries. I can't remember when Fred even had an injury. Maybe once they were out with sickness. Bruno, same. And it's all well and good bringing in midfielders in. I don't know about Amrabat's injury record. I think he might be okay. But, Ericsson came off that injury. Mount, I have question marks over because of the extent of the injury that he had last season when he was in and out. That might be because he wanted to leave. I don't know. But still, I have question marks, so talent is fine, but availability for me is more important than talent. There's no point in being talented if you can only play one game a season. And that's my worry for certain players at Manchester United. That Fab tweet on the screen says MB is interesting. Also for PAVARD be, yeah, I don't think he should be a centre-back at all. I'd be very, very, very worried if he's a centre-back. But at the end of the day, like I said, if he's coming in, he's not going to be coming in to displace Lisandro or Varane. And I mean, the thing is, Tadibo and Tapsoba are like younger, so I can understand how those guys can be like, right, okay, we could be part of rotational, improve, compete, that type of thing. PAVARD is much older, so I'm kind of in my mind, I'm like, does PAVARD really want to just be a rotational player at Manchester United? Is that how bad things are at Bayern Munich? Like, you are happy to be on the bench for Manchester United and come on when as? I mean, that's fine. And he can play at right back. So, but I just find that interesting, because he's not going to immediately displace anybody. Doesn't mean he won't, but if he does sign, he wouldn't immediately. Damn, Fred is shipped out as well. Yes. Is McTominay still on? Yes, McTominay is still around, but West Ham may put another bid. But I think with them going for James or Prowse, it's unlikely, but they may put in a bid. Who knows? RSV says, I want John Clair Todibo. He's very young, and I think PAVARD is overrated, which I agree with you there. He was also better sense back and West PAVARD is more. Yeah, exactly. Although, like I said, I've not watched Todibo, so I don't know. All I know is he plays for Nice. I have watched a bit more of Edmond Tapsoba because he plays for Leverkusen and Burkina Faso, respectively. And he was actually one of the players that I think it was in the recent AFCON. I think is actually in my opinion, one of the players of the tournament. So either one of those two, I don't have a problem with. PAVARD, I would have question marks over, unless the reason why it's being signed is because Ten Hag wants to experiment with the right back position and go, okay, well, we have a player that can play centre back, but also he can play a right back and potentially do, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, cannot wait to put his average players out the window. I cannot wait for Maguire, McTominay, Fred, Williams, Bay, Van der Beek, Marshall, Henderson exit. Yeah, I mean, Maguire's obviously gone. McTominay, I think McTominay will probably stay unless West Ham put in another bid, and because United aren't going to set more than, I would say, 45 mil for McTominay. Fred will go. Williams, I don't really know what's happened to Brandon Williams, to be honest. By from the looks of things, I think, let me have a look. We did get a bit of an update on Eric Bay, actually. I think Fabrizio had it. I'm sure it was. Let me have a quick look. Let me have a quick look. I have a feeling Fabrizio gave an update on Eric Bay. Okay, let's have a quick look. In fact, let me search for it here. It'll be here. I know there was an update. Two seconds, guys. Let's have a look. Oh no, it wasn't. It was Chris Wheeler. That's it. It was Chris Wheeler. It wasn't Fabrizio. That's what I was going to. Fabrizio had an update. No, it was Chris Wheeler. So Chris Wheeler, from the Daily Mail, actually gives an update regarding Eric Bailly. And basically, it says this that excluded from first team activities, reports from Turkey indicate Eric Bailly has agreed a contract with Besiktas and will seek contract termination with United now. Others say Eric Byers in talks with Besiktas and Al Nasser, because I think that last time I heard it with Eric Bay was that that Al Nasser was an option, but it sounds like that hasn't progressed. Maybe it's the money, I don't know. So yeah, it basically ties to what I said about Eric Bay before, which was that Turkey, and similar to Fred actually, Turkey or Saudi Arabia, and potentially if Chris Wheeler at the Daily Mail is true, they want termination of his contract. I think I want Manchester United to learn from this, because, you know, just think of, like, yes, it's good that we're getting rid of all these players, but also just think about how much money has been lost, how difficult it is to actually shift off a lot of these players, because we basically signed them, we overpriced them, and then we basically gave them high wage, and we can't ship them away. The resale value, like, I don't know, like, just think of how many players we actually sold for a profit. All I can think of is the youth. Elanga we sold for profit. Iqbal we sold for profit. If McTominay goes, I guess we'll sold him for profit. That's it. That's all I can think of. Dean Henderson, I guess, will come under that if we sell him. And Spurs are still somewhat not Spurs. Nottingham Forest appear to be somewhat still interested, but they have also signed a new keeper as well. So it's going to be interesting wherever Henderson goes. I mean, based on this list, RSV, I think Maguire goes, Fred goes, Bailly think goes, Van der Beek goes, but I think Martial, Henderson, and McTominay stay. Out of those last three, I think McTominay and Martial stay. Martial is going to stay because I'm not 100% sure we're going to be able to sign a striker. And also, no one wants to buy him because he's injury prone and his wages are too expensive. McTominay because the club loves him, and Henderson because basically Nottingham Forest are the only team that seem to want this dude. But they've just signed wasn't the Arsenal keeper, isn't it? So yeah, it's a tricky one. No attachment to players, a big egg in the story. Manny says, it's sad what happened to Marshall. I was trying one of my favorite balls, but his body's finished. Yeah. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So wait, what does this mean for Maguire in England? Is he getting dropped then? Well, if he goes to West Ham, then no. He'll just play alongside. The main thing about picking is that it's just important that he plays regular football. If he's playing regular football for West Ham, it's not going to be dropped. He's not going to be dropped the door. But if he's fifth choice at Manchester United, he's going to be dropped. That's just the reality. And, you know, accordingly, Harry Maguire apparently will be the West Ham's new captain. So that's something. I think if he comes, he'll just walk in, because Declan Rice was the captain for West Ham. So if Harry Maguire comes, that's the case. Thanks to Gatekeeper. Yeah, I see notes regarding the setting stuff. Next summer, I feel we need to upgrade the full positions, both right back and left up. Yeah, I don't disagree there. I don't disagree with that at all. Right, guys, it's been an hour. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. It's been a very, very good show. Like I said, this is a weekly transfer of the show until the transfer winner goes. The season is back. The season is back. We're doing our Manchester United preview. That is going to be Friday. So Friday instead of the weekly Q&A, we're going to be doing our Manchester United season preview, which is hopefully is going to be a blast. Then obviously Manchester United are playing on. I will be doing watch-alongs to Premier League on my Twitch channel. So I'll be on Twitch. I will be hopefully doing a watch-along for the Wolves game on Twitch on the Monday. So I'll be posting a link on the community tab. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. All of my watch-alongs are going to be on the tab on Twitch on the community tab. Like I said to a lot of you guys before, I'm not really going to be doing match previews on this channel because I'm only one guy, aside from the big major games. So you're not going to get a match review for the Wolves game, but you are going to get a live match interaction where we're going to get calls in, discussions, etc. That's what we're going to do. And then United Form, I think we'll be back next week where we discuss things, all things rival banter, etc. etc. And obviously, if there's sell updates, I'm sure Tom will come on and we'll do X, Y, and Z. Last question from my man Roy. Roy, how you doing? Big up, Roy, in the chat. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Make sure you guys go and subscribe to his channel. It's great. Rossonari TV. Rossonari. I think Milan are in the CL this season, I think, if I remember. I think they did qualify. They did qualify, yeah. Yeah, it was Milan, Inter, not Juve. But yeah, they did. So hopefully, you never know, might get drawn in the same in group. And then, the watch-alongs and the previews will be great. Hello, sir. Happy Man United transfer market so far. Yeah, I mean, I think overall, you know, if we... What I'll say is this, is that I'm keeping my expectations realistic. None of the signings that I think, aside from Onana, who make us play differently higher up, I don't think any of the signings, in my opinion, they're average signings. You know, average / potential signings. So players that have potential, players that are okay. You know, it's not like, right, okay, we're signing Harry Kane, who I know who's going to come in and score goals for Manchester United and blitz. You know, it's not like we're signing, we signed a Kim Min-jae, you know, even a Declan Rice, I would argue, you know. So I'm content with the signings, but at the same time, I still think that with what we've made in the squad that we have, that's not going to be enough to close on City. It's not. Hopefully, if it's coordinated well, we'll have some good cup runs and a successful and comfortable top 4. That's my expectation for the season. So yeah, I'm happy, and also if we're clearing out players like Maguire, etc., that makes me even more happy. But you know, we'll see what happens as the season goes on. We'll see what happens. Manchester United to revenge Maguire's wage 125. Oh, right, okay. Hopefully they can do that. I'm not sure. We qualify ranks. Yes, yeah. Well, Juve, the frauds, they're in trouble, man. They're in trouble. They're in trouble. It's not good to be a Juventus fan right now. It's really not. Right, guys. Again, like I said, thank you so much for the show. Really appreciate everyone tuning in. If you enjoyed the channel, to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, United X, and smash the notification button for latest Manchester United news and more. See you guys on Friday for our season preview. Have a nice day, everyone, and cheers. Peace.